What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the Primetime preview here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all of the sports. Ricky K here, Josh Ritter's here, the dynamic duo back to get you set for another great weekend in sports. We are your remote control. We tell you what you should watch. We have some pretty good stuff going on. We got week 2 of the NFL preseason beginning tonight. What games would we watch if they were actually regular season games, and what storylines are we following as we get closer to the start of the regular season? Of course, it's the dog days of August in baseball, so we're going to get into our 5 series to watch. Josh has his list, and our special guest, Ralph Felice, will join us. We'll talk about which New York team is a better chance of actually doing well, the Yankees or the Mets. Both are in an absolute rut right now. We'll talk about the WNBA. The Aces are rolling, and it's another Lynx-Liberty matchup this weekend. Can the Liberty actually get a win against Minnesota for once? We'll dive into that. We'll talk about some soccer, MLS, NWSL has the top 2 teams going against each other this weekend. That should be fun. Meanwhile, in golf, we have the world's #1, Scotty Scheffler, trying to chase down a red-hot Bob McIntyre. And a guy on LIV Tour shoots 59? And that's not even the lead story in LIV Golf. Crazy stuff. We'll talk Cincinnati Open with the U.S. Open less than a week away. We'll talk Little League World Series. We'll talk some racing. All that and much more coming up next year on Primetime Preview and IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all the sports. We will see you in just a minute.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
And welcome back to the Primetime Preview on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Ricky K, Josh Ritter back in the house. Josh, how are you today?
I'm great. Excited to be back again. How are you, Ricky?
I'm doing good. Again, just a reminder for those who missed last week's show, Josh is going to be taking over the show full time beginning on September 5th, I think is the Friday, September 5th. So he will get you set for Chiefs Chargers out in Brazil. So great way to begin your first football weekend. I am not going anywhere. I will be joining Adam Karnick on the opening series starting on Labor Day. So we'll get to recap the first week of college football. That'll be pretty fun. So that's some changes to the lineup in case you were not made aware last week. But for the rest of this month, Josh and I will be here getting you set for the weekend's action. Thanks to our sponsors, Planet Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, the jerky that is on a whole other planet. Be sure to check out some awesome jerky, maybe on the couch while you're watching some sports this weekend. That's always a good snack. And then Vital Apparel, great gym wear for a great cause, mental health awareness. Use the code IESR to get 15% off your purchase today. Be sure to follow us TikTok and YouTube at IE Sports Radio. Hit like and subscribe. We want to hear from you. Comment on YouTube, Twitch, X throughout this next hour plus. What are you watching this weekend? What are your bold predictions in sports this weekend? We would love to hear that from you. You can follow us on X, or at least me on X, at Rickinator555. You follow Josh on TikTok, Josh.Ritter57. Josh blows up on TikTok. He's killing it over there. He's got a lot of stuff going on. So let us get into the action. Well, first, let's do some comments. We got to say hi to some people. Taryn Rodriguez says, good evening. Have an amazing show. Brian Francione, of course, he's worried about his Red Sox and the Patriots this weekend. And pretty soon, football is going to make weekends amazing. Just think, Josh, next week we're going to have college football in Ireland to break down. That's Iowa State, Kansas State next week.
I cannot wait. I'm so excited for college football season. I get to go to see the Ducks for the first time in my life live in Awesome Stadium in 2 weeks. I cannot wait. College football is back, and it's going to be so fun. Cannot wait.
Yeah, we don't get a lot of big-time college football here in New York, New Jersey. I did go to a Rutgers game last year for the first time against Wisconsin. I am trying to go out to Washington State later this year for a little Oregon State, Washington State out in Pullman. And I found something really interesting. Those two teams are going to play twice this year. They have a home and home.
It's the Pac-2.
They got to have the crossover. So that's going to be pretty cool to have two same matchups and see. It's like college basketball invades football. So that should be a lot of fun. And we'll be breaking down Iowa State, Kansas State in depth next week, as well as the week 0 action. But for right now, let's do the pros. Week 2 preseason. Here are your games, of course, to dive into. We'll give you the list, and then we'll talk about a couple of them. Tonight, just 2 games on the schedule. It is Titans at Falcons and the Chiefs at the Seahawks. Tomorrow, you got the Dolphins and the Lions, Packers at the Colts, Patriots at the Vikings, Browns at the Eagles. Shedeur Sanders got an oblique thing, so that ruins any chance of seeing him play this week. Panthers at the Texans, Niners at the Raiders, Ravens and Cowboys, Jerry World, Chargers at the Rams, Battle of Los Angeles, Jets and Giants in the annual Snoopy Bowl, Bucks and Steelers, and the Cardinals and the Broncos. Just 2 games on Sunday. Jaguars and the Saints, and the Bills, the Bears. And then Monday Night Football. I still find it weird calling it Monday Night Football in the preseason, but it is what it is. Bengals at Commanders. It's a pretty good Monday night game. So let's start with this, Josh, before we dive into the matchups themselves. My question would be if you could pick if one of these matchups was a regular season matchup. Let's pretend that everybody's playing. We don't have to worry about which third stringers are playing, which backups are playing. Which one would be the most intriguing to you?
Ooh, that's a good question. Let's look at a couple different matchups here. First of all, I really do like Chiefs at Seahawks because I think the Seahawks can be a sneaky playoff team in the NFC, and they used to be a division rival of the Chiefs. So that game would be very interesting because I'm curious to see what Seattle looks like with kind of a new coaching staff and new players and they got just a bunch of new things going on there, and then of course the Chiefs are the Chiefs, so that's an interesting one. And then Bengals at Commanders. Are the Commanders for real? And can the Bengals stay healthy? I think if that was like an October matchup in the NFL, that would be super interesting because I have a lot of questions marks around both of those teams, but they have high end potential. So those are two games that I would look at.
That would, of course, be the rematch of Week 3 when Jade Daniels had his coming out party on Monday Night Football in Cincinnati last year. So that would actually be a really cool rematch if that were the case. My two, I'm going to go out to Chicago, Bills and the Bears. I think that would be a fun one. If Caleb Williams didn't even play in the first preseason game, but if this was actual regular season game, Josh Allen versus Caleb Williams, Josh Allen's the old guard now, which is kind of weird against the new guard and Caleb Williams. Kind of the high octane offensive power that would be, especially Ben Johnson going against Sean McDermott. That'd be kind of a fun clash in styles. And I would say the second one, I think to me, the second one that would be pretty interesting, Carolina and Houston. Like, what's the Panthers? Remember, it's the battle of the top two picks, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud. If this was a regular season game, could Bryce Young avenge not getting taken by the Houston Texans, making stuff like that, making it where CJ Stroud's the guy, which one versus two that we always talk about. So to me, that would be a fun one, Panthers and Texans. But let's get into actual preseason football. What games, Josh, have piqued your interest this week?
Well, I mean, I don't think anyone's going to be surprised. The first one, of course, is my Dolphins going up against the Lions. And really, I want to know for the Dolphins, who will step up in the cornerback room? Our cornerbacks are they are the worst cornerback room in the NFL. When Storm Duck is your number one cornerback, who probably 99% of NFL fans don't even know who that is, you got a problem. So who's going to step up in that cornerback room and really take those two starting positions? Amon-Ra St. Brown pretty much owned them in the 2 days of joint practices. So can any of them step up and raise their hand and say, I'm going to be the starter in this group? So that's something I'm looking for. And also last week against the Bears, the Dolphins had two guys with the last name Washington, not related, Malik Washington and Taj Washington, both receivers, both drafted in 2024, and both had really, really good games. And can they repeat that? Is it repeatable or is it a flash in the pan? Because after Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, who teams have figured out how to kind of neutralize them from a standpoint of, if we just cover these two guys, everybody else can do whatever they want. We need that third guy. And if one of these two can step up, I think the Dolphins can have a legitimate passing attack. So can they repeat that performance from last weekend and really step up? And for the Lions, I mean, there's not much to say for the Lions. They know what they're doing. Like they're one of the best teams in the NFL. I would imagine you're not going to see many starters out there. So, from their standpoint, it's just going to be staying healthy. And really that's what it is for everybody. And then the other game I'm looking at is that Jets and Giants game. I am fascinated by Jackson Dart. Okay. He's probably my favorite quarterback prospect from the draft this year. He had a heck of a performance. That throw to the corner of the end zone and the touchdown pass in the last game was amazing. And I really think he can be a good quarterback. And I think he can push Russ for a starting job by the end of the preseason if he has another strong performance. So looking at that versus Justin Fields. Justin Fields came over to the Jets. And is he going to step up or is he going to kind of fall back? So I'm very interested in the quarterback situation in that game.
Yeah, I liked what Jackson Dart did last week. I thought he did a pretty good job. I think also, to be fair to Russell Wilson last week, Malik Neighbors didn't play. Darius Slayton didn't play. Jalen Hyatt didn't play. I don't know why Russell Wilson then is starting when your top three wide receivers aren't even in the game. To me, that makes zero sense, but it is what it is. Dart did play pretty well, but people like Mike Tannenbaum calling for him to start week 1. Yeah, throw Jackson Dart there week 1 against the toughest schedule in the NFL and see how that pans out. It's not pretty. And the Jets looked good last week. I love Aaron Glenn's message of accountability. Jets made a lot of penalties, but you clearly saw Aaron Glenn frustrated on the sideline actually dealing with those penalties. I think that's a good sign for them in the right direction. So I do like that matchup. Couple I like, New England at Minnesota. I think these are really two really intriguing teams for this year. Minnesota, it's about J.J. McCarthy. What does he do? We saw him a little bit last week, like one drive, looked pretty good. But I think he's got a good way to go. Jordan Addison, of course, is going to miss the first 3 games of the season due to his suspension. So how does the rest of the Vikings offense look? Do we see Justin Jefferson a little bit this week? And on the Patriots side, this is probably one of the teams in the AFC that could make a surprise. Well, Drake May takes that leap in year 2. Trevion Henderson last week took the opening kickoff back for a touchdown. If he's going to do that to help on special teams, to be a 1-2 guy with Stevenson, that'll be big. We'll see if Stephon Diggs gets some action this week. Patriots, I think, to me, their biggest question marks are in the secondary. If Gonzalez and Carlton Davis stay healthy, but Rabel, I think, is going to do some things with this defense. I'm not saying the Patriots are going to win 11, 12 games, but I think they could be like an 8, 9 win team and compete for a playoff spot. Their schedule actually is pretty favorable, and Mike Rabel is going to win games that Gerard Mayo didn't know how to win last year. That alone is like 2, 3 wins on the calendar. And I would say my second one is Packers-Colts on Saturday. Colts, I'm interested to see what happens to this whole Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones thing. Like last week, Richardson doesn't last that long because he gets crushed on a play. Daniel Jones was okay, but 10 for 21 in a preseason game I'm not sold on. And the Packers, Jordan Love, of course, not going to play probably the rest of the preseason, dealing with a thumb issue. And I want to see maybe more Malik Willis. Does it look like he's devolved more if Jordan Love does have to miss time during the year? Because odds are he's probably going to. The Packers offensive line didn't exactly help Jordan Love a year ago. So finding out what Green Bay is, especially since they dealt with a lot of injuries last year, will be fun. Also going against the Colts and trying to figure out what the heck's at quarterback. So that would be my 2. I'm not going to talk Bucs Steelers because our next guest might end up doing that. He is our Steelers insider, our Sixers insider, our Mets insider. I think he's trying to rival you, Josh, for most teams the inside. But he is here, my good buddy Ralph Calise. Ralph, how are you, my friend?
What's up, Ricky? Thanks for having me on. How you doing, Josh? Nice to see you on the show. Congrats on getting the position. Ricky, you scared me at the beginning of the show, and you were saying you were passing the show along to Josh. I thought you were leaving. But you're leaving to go to work with Adam, so that made me feel better as you were saying that. But, yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we're not leaving Friday. We're just leaving Friday and skipping a weekend and going into Monday.
Yes, but I thought you meant you were leaving like you were leaving, to go better yourself somewhere else or move on.
So we just want to talk about what happened after the games instead of before.
What do you say?
Before we dive into the baseball, Ralph, I'll let you talk about the Steelers. What are you looking for against the Bucs? Even though I realize like nobody great on the Steelers is actually playing this weekend.
Yeah, so that's the point right there. Nobody big on the Steelers is playing, so you're basically going to get what you saw last week versus the Jaguars. Mason Rudolph will start, and then Skylar Thompson will come in, and all the backups will be in there. But they did have a joint practice yesterday, and there was no media there to like videotape it or anything. So basically, you would just go on the reports that came out of there, and the Steelers they said it was a little bit of a struggle versus Tampa Bay. They did a 7-on-7 drill start, and it was all. I mean, it was prefabricated, I guess. It was just all rushing plays, and the Steelers, had the ball first, and they didn't do well rushing the ball. And there was a report that came out during the week at the end of training camp in Latrobe that Aaron Rodgers did have some choice words for the rookie running back, Caleb Johnson, on the Steelers. So I don't know if they need to work on that. The defense, they had at the end of the practice, from what I heard, they had like a 2-minute drill where they had, 2-minute drill, and the Steelers went out in 4 plays and didn't gain a first down on the 2-minute drill. And that was with Aaron Rodgers as quarterback. They said DK Metcalf dropped the ball, and I don't know. It wasn't a very good, productive joint practice for the Steelers. So that their starters got to play there. I mean, and then again, they said that the defense gave up a touchdown on the 2-minute drive, but in a joint practice, you can't really touch the quarterback and tackle him. And they said most of the passes that Baker Mayfield threw, he could have been sacked. But, they just let the play continue on because it's a joint practice. So all in all, it was a mixed report. I don't know. You're going by what the reporters are saying out there. You didn't really see what happened. And, there's work to be done. It's the preseason, and game 1 is coming up. And not to toot my own horn, but I will be there. I got a field pass. I'll be on the field versus the Jets. The person who got me the field pass is a Jet fan. So I don't know if the field pass is going to be on the Jet side, but I'm going to venture over to the other side if I can.
So, by the way, I was saying that Steelers game last week.
I'm curious what you think of.
Oh, go ahead, Josh.
Oh, go ahead. I was going to say, I'm curious what you think of Jalen Ramsey as an acquisition. Our team's had a pretty robust trade, let's just say. And I've heard some reports out of that joint practice that Jalen Ramsey was struggling a bit with Mike Evans, which didn't surprise me as a Dolphins fan. So I'm curious what you think of that.
Yes, that is true. The reports that came out that he is going to be the guy, Jalen Ramsey, that is going to get the number 1 receiver on every team. That's what that's what's coming out of Pittsburgh. They do have, don't forget, they do have Joey Porter Jr. They do have Darius Slay, and they do have the kid from the Jets, Ricky Eccles, who's having a phenomenal camp. He's probably one of the best players in camp so far. And they're going to use these guys. They have Justin Thornhill, the guy they picked up from the Browns. And according to Tomlin, what they're going to do is they're going to use this defensive secondary. They're going to be playing all over the place. So it's going to be kind of like you don't know who's covering who, but they did say that Jalen Ramsey will be following the number 1 receiver. And he had he's had a really good camp too. But, like you said, he went up against Mike Evans and he did struggle according to the reports. So we'll see what happens. And, I like the trade. I mean, I know Minka. I loved Minka. I know he went to Miami. And I don't know how he's been doing. I really haven't heard anything. But he's just professional. He was a professional ball player in Pittsburgh. And he did a lot of things, like they say, that you didn't see in the box score. So he was the leader of the defense as far as what they say, the green dot. I mean, he wasn't wearing the green dot, but he was the leader on the Steel defense for the years. Yeah.
And he's immediately one of the best players in the Dolphins defense. There's no doubt. Absolutely.
Yes, correct. I figured that. And it's crazy how they traded for Minka from the Dolphins to begin with, and then he traded him back there.
We could do a whole show. We could do a whole show on Minka Fitzpatrick and how I feel about him.
Okay. All right. Well, I personally thought he was great with the Steelers. He was a good player for us.
I was ecstatic when we drafted him. So yeah, I could do a whole show.
Okay, good. Yeah. I thought you meant it in a bad way.
No. I could talk about how I feel about the Dolphins trading him away in 2019. So anyway, we can talk Steelers Dolphins the entire show, but I'll turn it back.
Yeah.
I was going to say,
we play each other this year, so maybe we'll have a show where we could do a preview or something.
Monday night.
I'm actually trying to go to that game because it's the Steelers have their Hall of Honor.
Yeah. And
it's going to be 3 guys that are going in the Hall of Honor there that are prime Steelers. I think Joey Porter is one of them.
Yeah.
And I forget the other 2 guys, but they were all Super Bowl champions. So
nice.
Should be interesting.
Yep.
As I say on that Steeler game last week, I wish that Cam Little field goal would actually count toward the record book. The fact that he makes a 70-yard field goal and it's going to be like it didn't exist is ridiculous.
So I was on Tuesday's show with Big Mike and Glenn, and he brought that up, and he was like, that was his like his smash or pass thing, that segment that he does. I'm sorry, take or break it. And he goes, I know you saw it because you were a Steelers fan. You're probably watching it, but it's the NFL is like they were saying it's a record, and the announcers were going nuts. This is a record. This is a record, but it don't count. It's preseason.
Nope.
It's preseason.
They mentioned it during the Dolphins game the next day as not being a record because it doesn't count. And honestly, that's the truth. It doesn't count. So
I mean, the way I said it to Big Mike was it counts for him if he's vying for a spot on the team to make the team, and you're kicking 70-yard field goals. Yeah, then it's great for the guy, for the kicker. But preseason doesn't count. Nothing really counts in preseason. Like you said at the beginning before I came on, I heard you say it's all about everybody playing and getting out healthy, so you can make it to week 1. And that's what Tomlin's doing. He ain't playing any of his starters. So it probably could be a little rust there, as that showed in the joint practice.
At least we know all Trevor Lawrence has to do is get the ball to the 50-yard line. Cam Little will take it from there.
Yeah. No, well, their announcers, because the feed I was watching it on was from Jacksonville, and they were saying that this guy was kicking them in practice, before the game, like it was nothing. So when he lined up to kick the field goal, the guy was like 70 yards. This might be even the guy that one of the said, he goes, he's got a shot.
So when the Jaguars are inevitably 3-8 and they have a kick at halftime, throw the kid out there, let him kick it from 75.
Yeah, then that's it. Then it'll count as a record and he'll be in the books.
No one will care if he misses it, right?
Yeah, knowing that he did it now, they're definitely going to try that.
Of course.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to move from the NFL to Major League Baseball, and this is our 5 series to watch, where we tell you what baseball series you should watch this weekend. Normally it's me, but I'm going to turn it over to Josh because he's got a list this week. So Josh, take it away. What are the 5 baseball series we should be watching this weekend?
So this was a weekend in baseball where you have a lot of teams near the top of the standings playing a lot of teams near the bottom. And number 1 was pretty obvious, but we'll get to that. But for number 5, I've got us at Tigers versus the Twins. So you've got a couple teams. Tigers are obviously near the top of the AL. Twins are they made a lot of sales at the trade deadline, but they're kind of still trying to hang on a little bit, but not so much. So yeah, what do you think of that?
Tigers and the Twins. That's your number 5, right?
Yes, number 5.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, that's that looks pretty good. Tigers are Twins. I mean, like you said, there's a lot of teams that are playing that are vying for the wild card. The Twins don't seem to be like they're much in it because they sold their team there. But that's a good number 5. Yeah.
And it's a division matchup. So that's why I kind of put it on the edge there. Like I said, there's not a ton of games between both teams that are playing for wild card spots. But at number 4, we have the Rangers and the Blue Jays. So the Blue Jays have the best record in the AL, happen to be my favorite baseball team. And the Rangers are still very much in it. So this will be a good matchup, I think, with the Blue Jays trying to solidify themselves as the number 1 seed in the AL.
Yeah,
I like this one for sure. I think the Rangers to me are really interesting, 61-61. What are the Texas Rangers? Because it seemed like they got hot. Now they faded a little bit and trying to catch up in the wild card. I think this is starting to make or break for Texas, especially when you consider we'll talk about this next week. Big series with Cleveland coming up. So Texas really needs a big week if they want to stay in this thing. Yeah,
absolutely. Number 3, I've got the Mariners and the Mets. I'm fascinated by the Mariners. Outside of the Blue Jays, I'm watching the Mariners because they've been playing really well. Obviously, you got Cal Raleigh and what he's doing, which is just amazing. And the Mets, while they're falling a little bit here, but they have time to get it back, but they got to get going now. So it's a good matchup. And then there's the Little League Classic piece of that it kind of adds extra intrigue.
Well, that was an understatement what you said there. They're falling a little bit. They're falling fast. They're falling out, and they're going to be out of a playoff spot by the end of tonight. I can feel it. They are just. Oh, I don't know if you saw my video I put up. They are just. They're killing me. I can't even talk about it. It's just I don't know what happened. This team was 22 games over 500. Like I want to say, like a couple of weeks before the All-Star break, and it's just falling apart. The pitch, they can't do nothing right. They every game they lose a different way every night. If it's the hitting, starting pitching, the relief pitching, they made all these trades at the deadline, but they made the wrong trades. I think they made the wrong trades. They did need bullpen help. I'll give them that. But they definitely needed starting pitching. And I tell you, being a Met fan, and I'm a diehard Met fan. I'm a Met fan since I want to say 1962, but I wasn't born in 62. I was born in 68. So they needed starters. They needed starters. And I would have sold the farm for a guy like Alcantara from the Marlins. Because Mauricio right now, he does not belong in the major leagues. Beatty shows signs here and there. He's okay. I mean, and they got Vientos. They got him on the bench. I mean, he's having a bad year, but you got to let him play. Let him get out of it. He was a big clog for the Mets last year. And I don't know. I think Mendoza, he's changing the lineup. So I know he's trying to find the right lineup, but he's changing the lineup every night. He doesn't know who to bring in from the bullpen. He brings in the wrong guys at the wrong time. He had Diaz last week. He could have brought him in for 2 innings. The guys have pitched in a week. He's bringing Ryan Stanek in a big spot. Ryan Stanek is nobody. He's terrible. I can't even talk about them.
What we're hearing is Mets, get Ralph's blood pressure back down. Help him out.
Ricky knows. Me and Ricky went to a playoff game last year, and the tension was insane. Oh, my God.
There is good news for the Mets this week. Nolan McLean is making his major league debut tomorrow.
Hopefully he can go more than 4 innings.
At least if they're 4 innings, they're 4 entertaining innings. They're 4 better innings than Frankie Montas is going to throw, which I don't care how upset
guy,
he is.
Another guy, Jesus Christ.
He can get upset all he wants. He shouldn't be pitching anymore. So McLean's going to start. And another thing with the Mets, Ryan Helsley, can we stop with the Hells Bells 8th inning dramatic thing? That is Trevor Hoffman's song. You don't get a song when you pitch in the 8th inning. You get a song if you pitch in the 9th inning, like Edwin Diaz or David Bednar here with Renegade or whatever. You don't get a song when you pitch in the 8th inning. You just come out and you pitch. I don't care. Ryan Helsley's got to figure out how to pitch in the 8th inning. To me, it's ridiculous how closers – we get to another time – how closers go from pitching the 9th so great, they pitch 1 inning before and they can't pitch anymore. I don't understand that.
If I could just ask you two guys when you think about what happened. Now, Monday was a very happy night for the Mets and myself because I'm a big Pete Alonso fan. Mm-hmm. And he broke the Mets record for hitting home runs. Did you happen to see the picture of the ball that he signed and inscripted? What he wrote on the ball?
No, I hadn't.
You haven't seen it. Okay, so he signed the ball. He got the ball that he hit the 253rd home run. Okay, Now of course he passed Darryl Strawberry. Right. Darryl Strawberry was another one of my favorite players. But he signed the ball, Pete Alonso, Mets career home run, whatever, 253. And in the corner of the ball, he put "Down goes Straw" with an exclamation point.
Oh boy!
Wow. What's your thoughts on that?
That's a bad look. That's a bad look.
You know what? I saw it and I'm like, Pete Alonso did that? He's not that. I didn't ever thought he'd be that type of guy. But Darryl Strawberry was on a New York radio show yesterday, and they asked him about it. And I don't know. He was on he seemed pretty cool about it. He's like, hey, Pete's his own guy. Pete's got the record. He could basically, say what he wants. It doesn't bother me. I mean, he showed class on the air, Darryl Strawberry, but Just to think Pete Alonso doing that, I thought Pete had more, you know, a little more respect than to write that. I mean, I couldn't believe it when I saw it.
I'll tell you what, if it's 2033 and Tua evolves into the great quarterback that we all hope he could eventually fall into, and he passes Dan Marino for his touchdown record, and he puts that on the bottom of football, this guy's going to have a problem with it.
Oh, they'll run him out of town. They'll run him out of town. They will run him out of Miami. They will run him right out of Miami.
Yeah, so that ain't cool. I feel how you feel about that, because that's not cool.
Yeah, I just wanted to see how you guys felt about that. I thought maybe you saw it. I guess I didn't see it.
Yeah,
but check it out.
A lot of Pete's Met loyalty went out the window when it took till late January, early February to give him a contract.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the day he hit the home run, they said Stearns was in Japan watching some guy who was going to take his place. Some guy was hitting home runs in Japan. I don't know his name. I just saw the article. And he's in Japan watching some guy getting ready to replace him. And the guy he broke the record Monday. You can't make it up. You can't make this up.
All right.
Let's get to number 2.
We'll keep it moving here. This series fascinates me because can somebody please beat the Brewers? Like, is this team just completely unbeatable? And the Reds are desperate. They need to stay in a playoff spot here. They're right on the edge there. The Reds need to make a statement and go out there and at least get 2 out of 3 from the Brewers. So someone's got to beat the Brewers.
So you know what? I'm going to say that the Reds, just being a Met fan and how things are going downhill, the Mets are only half a game ahead of Cincinnati, right?
Yeah.
And Milwaukee is hot as a firecracker. So you're like, all right, good. That's good. You know what? Cincinnati's going to beat Milwaukee just to pass the Mets. I know it. It's definitely going to happen.
Bad news for the Reds today. Chase Burns going on the injured list. That's a big loss for them, especially since they just got Hunter Green back. But I think the Reds are in a good spot. They got Abbott pitching this weekend on Sunday. We'll see what Martinez does tonight with Littell on Saturday. But for the Brewers, I'm impressed. They've made up like 18 games on the Cubs in like 2 months, which is insane. And the Cubs, I don't think have been that bad. Like they went from being 6 down to 8.5 up. And you look at doing this without Mizorowski. They can pull a Strasburg and just say, you know what, we'll see you in late September or something at this point.
But Woodruff came back and he's given him innings. So he's been pitching well. And I honestly would have took that as my top series.
Well, I'm going to go number 1. I mean, it's a division matchup. It's 2 teams that are playing great. And it was our midweek matchup for Wednesday night on our pod. Padres Dodgers. I mean, it has everything you want.
My bad. That's definitely the California games there. Definitely.
Yeah. West Coast bias here from California here. So.
No, I totally get it. I agree.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun series. I'd love to see the Padres take 2 out of 3 in that series. So we'll see what happens, but it's going to be a great one.
Yeah, these 2 teams absolutely hate each other. The Padres think the Dodgers throw at Tatis. The Dodgers think the Padres throw at Ohtani. They're guaranteed to be one bench clearing thing this weekend at some point.
Oh,
Padres are playing really good. Dodgers just got swept in a season series by the Angels, and it's crazy what their bullpen looks like right now. But other bad news for the Padres: Mike King, who just came back on the IL again.
Yeah,
think about that guy. Supposed to have a great walk year, and he's been out twice this season. But they haven't really needed him. I think that's been kind of the scary thing with San Diego. Is I really like this team, but this is a show me series. You want to win the West, win this series. You can't win this series when the Dodgers are down. Don't start telling me the Padres can win the West again.
Yep.
Yeah. Dodgers are very vulnerable this year.
I agree.
Padres got them by a game. So just to bring something up again, I was on the show with Big Mike Monday, and one of his take-up breaks was Cal Raleigh. Would he be in line for the MVP for the AL this year? And I went with it. I was like, yeah, give it to him.
I picked him at the All-Star break on one of his shows to be the MVP, and I understand what Judge is doing in New York, and it's fascinating. But if the New York Yankees don't make the playoffs and the Seattle Mariners do, you got to give it to Cal Raleigh because he has not slowed down.
I don't think Judge is having that wow year. Plus, he's just coming off that injury. But like I said, Cal Raleigh, and like Glenn had brought up, he's a switch hitting catcher.
Yeah.
And don't forget, and like I had mentioned, he's the catcher, and he's actually catching that great pitching staff out there. So he's
going to blow by the all-time catching home run leader by the end of the month, and he's going to have the whole other month. So yeah, it's impressive as heck. Yeah, I would definitely, for me, say yes.
Yeah, I don't think it's a debate right now. I think if Judge starts to get on one of those hot streaks again, where he can get close and the Yankees start to get some separation, you could maybe make that argument. But right now, Raleigh's in the lead. I think the bigger intrigue is in the NL. I know people talk about Ohtani, but to me, Kyle Schwarber should be MVP in the National League. The guy crushes home runs every game. I've seen enough of. I honestly have Ohtani fatigue. I don't need to like. It's one of those things like, oh, he pitched 4 innings the other night. Okay, cool. Like I've seen it. It's happened already. He's to me another pitcher in my mind. Schwarber is one of the main reasons why the Phillies have built essentially a 5-game lead in the East and carrying an offense where yes, you have Trey Turner and yes, you have Bryce Harper, but Schwarber at the top of the lineup really sets the tone for that team and makes them go. So I kind of think if we're going to give it somebody different, I would give it. I think fascinating to see how many votes Schwarber will get.
So both MVPs might not be who everybody thought it would be and was last year.
I have a little PTSD on Ohtani. I just watched the Blue Jays lose 2 out of 3 to the Dodgers last weekend, and Ohtani pretty much just killed us. So I'm a little more biased towards Ohtani just because I watched what that guy did. But I hear you with Schwarber. He's a heck of a player. So that'll be fun to see. I think you could put them right next to each other and say, okay, you got 6 weeks to prove who's going to win this.
Did something just happen with Ohtani where he got caught doing something wrong?
Yeah, it's outside of baseball, but he's got so many investment issues.
Selling property, right, or something?
Yeah, selling property and doing some shady deals with his investor. Like, I don't know what the heck that guy's doing outside of baseball with his money, but yeah, he's all implicated in all sorts of kind of stuff. So who knows?
Interesting.
So be sure to check out Ralph's awesome videos. Does a really great job. Sixers, Pirates, Nets. Again, I think Ralph versus Josh in the battle of insiders one day. Who can cover the most teams? But Ralph, thanks again for hopping on, and maybe New York baseball will be better the next time we have you on.
Hey, thanks always for having me on, and you guys have a good night and have a great rest of the show.
Thanks, Ralph.
That's our good buddy Ralph Calise hopping on. Josh, for your first 5, I think you did a good job considering you didn't have that many choices to choose from. I'll throw one more quick out there for you. I think to me, Yankees Cardinals, I think would to me replace Tigers Twins, just because I think it's New York, St. Louis. The Cardinals, because the Mets have been not playing well, have at least put themselves back in the wild card race. They're 500. They're 3.5 back. And the Yankees still have some intrigue. They're a half game up on Cleveland for a playoff spot. We'll see what they can do. It's an interleague series. Pretty fun matchup here or there. I just don't buy what the Twins are. I get why you did it. And Detroit played well. It was actually a good game last night, extra innings. So it's really entertaining series. But I think that's my honorable mention. Yankees Cardinals would be right up there. But a solid first 5 from you.
Yeah, that's totally fair. Honestly, the tiebreaker on that was an interleague matchup and another one was a division matchup. And I just went with the division, but you're absolutely right. I did sit there and think about it for a minute before I made my decision. So it was really close.
So as we wrap up the baseball segment, let's just keep it with the kids. It's the Little League World Series going on this week. It started on Wednesday. We have some action from today. Right now, Aruba is leading Panama 4-0 in the 5th. Venezuela beat Canada 4-0 earlier today, and the kids from Las Vegas are 2-0. They beat Bonnie Lake, Washington 5-3. And then later tonight, Fairfield, Connecticut tries to go 2-0 against Honolulu, Hawaii. Yesterday, we saw Japan throw a no-hitter against the Czech Republic. The South Carolina team that knocked off those reigning champions, well, they took it to Massachusetts yesterday, 13-0. Chinese Taipei beat Mexico 3-0. South Dakota over Pennsylvania. That was a true road game for those kids from South Dakota, but they were excellent in a 2-0 win. Venezuela's 2-0. Nevada's 2-0. Panama's 1-0 right now, but they're losing, as you said, to Aruba. Anything stand out so far, Josh, from the Little League World Series?
Just that the number one seeds on both sides. You got South Carolina in the U.S. side and Japan in the international side, like 13-0 and 12-0. It's going to be interesting to see if anybody can take those guys out, because it looks like a collision course for next weekend between those two teams. But we'll see. I would love to see someone at least give them a run for their money. In these types of things, a lot of times the best teams kind of rise to the top, but it'd be fun to see someone kind of make them sweat a little bit and make a good game out of it.
They're mostly going to have elimination games on Saturday. Czech Republic against Australia, Texas against Massachusetts, Mexico against Puerto Rico, and Pennsylvania against the kids from Clarendon Hills. Of course, the name is always it cuts out. Kids from Clarendon Hills. So be sure to check out that matchup. All those this weekend on ESPN, and then family and networks they got going on. Ralph, of course, saying is "Let's go Mets." So we wrap up a little bit of baseball here on the show. Let's shift gears to WNBA. Some pretty good matchups expected this weekend. We have some teams that are currently on a roll. We've got the Aces that have won 5 straight. They've gotten back to 5th in the standings. They beat the Liberty earlier this week. They have a couple matchups. They have one with the Mercury tonight, and then they play Paige Beckers and the Dallas Wings on Sunday. Got to love Becky Hammond's club. They're finding a way to get hot at the right time. They're only a couple games out of the 2 seed. That's a team I really don't want to see down the stretch. Remember, the season ends September 11th, so we only have about a few weeks left in the WNBA season. So for all the inconsistency the Aces have had, they're starting to find it. Another team starting to find it is the Atlanta Dream. They've won 6 in a row, and they've actually surpassed the Liberty for second. So you got to love what Atlanta's doing over the course of the stretch. Saturday, we have a rematch of the WNBA Finals Part 3. You'll get Part 4, I think, later next week as well. It's the Lynx and the Liberty. This one in Minnesota. It's tough for me to think, Josh, the Liberty are going to win this one. They've lost the first 2. Nafisa Collier didn't even play in the last matchup. She's the MVP of the league, I think, this year. The Liberty only scored 71 points. They still don't have Brianna Stewart. They didn't have Isabel Harrison the other night due to concussion. They're really playing shorthand in a lot of these cases. And the Lynx, as I put here at the bottom of the screen, 16-1 at home. The Liberty are 8-8 in the road. And the Lynx are only favored right now by 2.5 at home.
Wow.
That to me is stunning. I don't know what Vegas knows.
Yeah,
but that is a weird stat line for tomorrow's game. Just something I keep. We keep it friendly. We don't want to encourage that, but I don't know. That might be interesting.
Yeah, I'm not a betting man, but if I were, that's a number that almost makes me want to bet for New York. Because, like, to your point, usually when Vegas has something that doesn't make sense, there's a reason, and I couldn't tell you what it is because on the surface, it doesn't make any sense. So
that line went down to 1.5, by the way.
Oh my gosh. Okay, there's got to be something going on that we don't know about.
We'll have to look into that over the course of the next commercial break, and we'll try to figure out what's going on with that matchup. But Liberty had a back-to-back this week out west. We'll see if they can keep that going. And really quick, final playoff spot. Got to keep an eye on that. The Seattle Storm have a half-game lead on the Sparks and a 1.5 lead on the Mystics. Sunday at 3 Eastern, noon Pacific on ESPN3, Sparks and Mystics. So maybe a play-in, play-out kind of game. It's still a little early, but definitely a 9 versus 10 matchup should be a lot of fun. So some good matchups in the W this week. And that Liberty Lynx game, by the way, the standalone game, Saturday, 2 Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on CBS. Be sure to tune into that. Let's do some soccer. MLS action this weekend. We have a couple of matchups to keep an eye. Of course, Leagues Cup quarterfinals will be next week. We get early next week, so maybe Adam will touch on that more. We gave you the matchups last week on the opening. He'll touch on the opening series, but 3 to watch. And actually, Josh did a good job picking some of these matchups here. I actually like a lot of these. Minnesota, Seattle, Saturday night, 3rd versus 4th in the West. Seattle, a 7-game unbeaten streak. Minnesota beat them earlier this year, but Minnesota hasn't had a win in their last 3 matches going back to Leagues Cup. So Seattle starting to find it at the right time. NYCFC against Nashville. That's a Sunday kickoff at 5 Eastern. Nashville lost to St. Louis last week, and Nashville's been one of the better teams in the league. NYCFC hasn't played since August 5th. They had a match against Columbus, moved back in the year. That was supposed to be last weekend. How do they handle that long layoff? And NYCFC, it's tough because if Alonso Martinez doesn't score, they don't score. So one player really determines what that offense does. And then Sunday, San Jose and San Diego. Battle of California. San Jose's got the last wild card spot. San Diego, of course, leading the league, but Joseph Martinez is playing well for the Earthquakes. 3 goals in the last 4 games. Both these teams, Josh, have scored the same amount of goals, but San Diego's goal differential is plus 18. San Jose's is plus 4. So San Diego doing a really good job with their defense. And I was looking it up on doing some research for the show. San Diego's got a chance to have the most points for an expansion team in MLS history. So they're doing a really good job in their first year in existence.
Good for them. That's awesome.
So
yeah, I would love to see San Jose take that game just because it's the most local team for me. And, I'm not, as everyone knows, I'm not really a local to NorCal fan, but the San Jose Earthquakes, I'd love to see them squeak into the playoffs. So.
Yeah, that should be some fun matchups this weekend. I'll throw it to you, Josh, for some NWSL we got going on, including, as we mentioned at the top of the show, the battle for the top 2 teams in the league. Why don't you tell us about it?
Yeah, so before we get to that on tonight, actually, in about an hour, you've got Racing Louisville versus the Washington Spirit. That is 7 versus 3 on the table. So that's a big matchup for both of those teams to kind of solidify playoff spots and get that separation on the table one way or the other. So that's a big one. But tomorrow night, Orlando versus Kansas City. Actually, tomorrow afternoon, it starts at 10 a.m. here on the West Coast. So on Paramount Plus, if you want to check that out, it's the top 2 teams on the table. Should be a great matchup. And who's going to take that top spot? So, I would definitely check that match out. I may have to queue that one up while I'm traveling tomorrow. So check that out while it's going on. So, yeah, it should be a really good matchup between 2 strong teams.
Can definitely be sure to watch that one. Of course, we have some other soccer going on. I'll really quickly bring up the Premier League begins this weekend. We actually had it begin today. Liverpool picked up a 4-2 win over Bournemouth. Mohamed Salah had a goal in that one. 2 goals for Bournemouth for Antoine Semenyo in the second half, but it just was not enough. Liverpool was able to rally late with a 2-2 tie to get those 2 deciding goals. So the defending champs getting it done. Some matchups to watch this weekend. You got Man City taking on the Wolves. That's 12:30 Eastern on NBC tomorrow afternoon. And then Sunday, Man U against Arsenal, 11:30 a.m. on NBC and Peacock, 8:30 a.m. on the West Coast. And Chelsea Crystal Palace, that's a 9 a.m. kickoff, 6 a.m. on the West Coast. Crystal Palace beat Liverpool in that Community Shield last week. Maybe they ride some momentum and can knock off Chelsea as well.
I will tell you, if you all follow my TikTok, you might see some Arsenal updates. I am an Arsenal fan. I do follow that team. It's a big year for the Arsenal. They have a chance to win a league title this year, and they're going to be in Champions League. They came really close last year, kind of faded down the stretch. But, yeah, we'll be following the Arsenal here on my account, so keep an eye out for that.
So we'll take our last time out. We'll get some words from Larry B. And when we come back, we'll talk some PGA Tour, some Live Tour, some tennis, and some NASCAR. You're listening to the Primetime Preview on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all the sports. We'll be right back after this.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the iSports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop, including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at iSports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making iSports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back to the Primetime Preview on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Rick K, Josh Ritter in the house, getting you set for the weekend. Of course, comment YouTube, Twitch, X, what you are watching this weekend in sports. We are not your lone remote control, but we're just taking it over for the next hour plus. We're wrapping up the show here on episode 10. Actually hit 10 episodes of the show, which is actually pretty cool. Let us talk some golf. Let's start with the PGA Tour. It's the BMW Championship out in Maryland. Top 50 in the FedEx Cup standings. It's going to go down to 30 for next week's Tour Championship. And we've had some pretty fun scores out in the golf this week. Robert McIntyre has got your second round lead, 14 under par. Shot a 6 under 64 today after a 62 yesterday. Bogey-free 64 today. He was red hot, 6 straight birdies to end his round yesterday. So he is in definitely cruise control. But guess who's second? Scotty Scheffler, 65 this afternoon. He teed off like 9 shots back, was able to cut that in half. So it's only a 5-shot lead. I know I said only 5-shot lead, but that's what it feels like, Josh. When Scotty, we saw Fleetwood blow a 4-shot lead last week in the second round. I know McIntyre's playing well. Are you going to lean with him? You've talked about him a lot this year. Or is Scotty Scheff going to make another comeback?
I love Robert McIntyre's game. I think that he's an up-and-comer, and you're going to see more from him. But let's just be honest. Like when you're winning a golf tournament by 5 strokes, but that guy behind you is Scotty Scheffler, it feels a little bit like Jaws, where you hear the dun and you know he's there, and he's got 36 holes to catch you. There's voices in the head that start coming. And I mean, I would love it if Robert McIntyre was able to hold this lead, but it's going to be a task because Scotty Scheffler doesn't have to win this tournament to make the top 30. He's basically assured of it. He's basically tuning up for next year's Tour Championship, and yet he's out here in second place. The guy's on another level right now, and I just can't see this lead being maintained tomorrow at the same level it is, but I would absolutely love to see it.
Yeah, so really I think it's a 2-horse race. Ludwig Aberg is 8 under par. He's in solo third. Hideki Matsuyama shot a good 6 under. Aberg shot 6 under as well today to get to 7. Fleetwood's at 6 under to tie for 5th. In terms of your FedEx Cup bubble, right now Harry Hall moved up 15 spots today to get the 30th spot. Taylor Pendrith is only 21 points behind in 31st. Jason Day is 35th. Ricky Fowler, 36th. So top 30 again, make it to next week's Tour Championship. So I guess Harry Hall actually did a great job. He's now tied 8th at 5 under. So he really can make a case to seal the top 30 if he can just stay in that spot this week. And real quietly on Fox this afternoon, the Live Tour. This is the last individual/team event of the season. Indianapolis next week in Michigan is the final event, but it's only team event. And everyone was watching because Joaquin Niemann and John Rahm are dueling it off for the individual championship. And both had, I thought, decent rounds of golf this afternoon. Joaquin Niemann had it going pretty well early until a couple of bogeys. I think he's got 3 shots clear of Rahm right now, but that's not even the story. Story is Sebastian Munoz. He shot a 12 under 59. Now, he only leads by 3. Dustin Johnson shot a 62 in the first of 3 rounds here at Indianapolis. But what's excellent about what Munoz did, yes, it's the third 59 in live history. It's the first time in golf, any kind of golf, that a player shot a 59 and had a double bogey. He double bogeyed, I think, his 5th hole of the day or 4th hole of the day.
Yeah.
And then makes 13 birdies in the last 14 holes. You can't even do that on like PGA Tour 2K or EA Sports video game if you tried. Like what Sebastian Munoz did was absolutely incredible. He only had like a 3-foot putt on 18 to get 59. It wasn't even a pressure-filled putt. So props to him. This is a player was pretty good on the PGA Tour, but we have seen that's around Josh. I don't think we're going to see for a long time.
Definitely. I mean, a long time, probably never again. Like, how many courses even lend themselves to be able to do that on the PGA Tour, much less the Live Tour? Like, that is such an amazing accomplishment, and it's so impressive. And I would keep my eyes, if you want to look at something, keep your eyes on Sebastian Munoz tomorrow, because I've seen a lot of guys have rounds like that come back the next day, and it's not pretty. I would love to see him back that up with something really nice. But a lot of times guys don't. So, because golf's one of those fickle sports, it can just feel everything can go your way one day, and then the next day it's just back to it. So curious to see what Sebastian Munoz can do, especially when you shoot a 59 like that. And like you said, 3 strokes up. Like Dustin Johnson's right behind you. He's a guy that's won majors. So it'll be very interesting to see how he follows that up the next day.
Munoz is 7th this year on the Live standings. He is one of only 3 players on the Live Tour in the top 10 without a win, which is amazing in itself that Jon Rahm is 2nd and he doesn't have a win this year. I guess it just means how the consistency that Rahm has had in a lot of these events. But Joaquin Niemann clearly in the driver's seat. I think if as long as Niemann finishes 2nd, he can't lose it. I think Rahm would have to jump him to 70 kind of shot. So we'll see if Rahm can go low over the next 2 days out in Indianapolis to pull that off. We move from golf to tennis, Cincinnati Open. Now, this is not a weekend final. We're so in Toronto. We've got Monday finals, and it's a week from Sunday because they now do the Sunday start instead of the Monday start. So I like that there's like the Monday Cincy to get you ready for the U.S. Open. But Josh has your latest updates from what's going on in the Queen City. So what is going on as we speak in those 2 events?
So in Cincinnati, we have a lot of chalk followed by kind of a surprise result. So in the men's bracket, you're looking at Yannick Sinner. He won today, or actually yesterday, I believe, which no one's surprised. Top seed in tennis, best player in tennis, right there with Carlos Alcaraz, who literally just won 7-5 in the 5th. It took him third. It took him 3 sets to beat Rublev. And it was close to the end. So, but he did pull it out. So you've got Yannick Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz getting to their respective semifinals. Ben Shelton is playing Zverev right now. That match just started, so there's not much update to give there. But that's going to be a really interesting matchup: the 5 seed versus the 3 seed. Americans, we can root for Ben Shelton, but Zverev's a really tough player, so that's going to be an interesting one. But we had a surprise with Terrence Attmain winning over Holger Rune 6-2, 6-3. Holger Rune's a good player. Terrence Attmain's just a qualifier. So that kind of came out of left field and really good for him. I can't wait to see him play Yannick Sinner and see if he can back that win up with another one. But he's a hot player right now, and getting ready for a major. You're making a name for yourself and maybe getting yourself into that tournament as a qualifier for this tournament. So it's kind of a mix of kind of what you'd expect versus somebody who came out of nowhere and is playing great tennis. So exciting weekend at Cincinnati for the men.
Yeah, I think like you said, just the fact that you have a qualifier from France really making this kind of push in these events, I think that's really one of the things to talk about. This guy's 136 in the world. He only had 1 singles win coming in. Sinner's 26-3 coming into this event. The guy's made less than $1 million on tour. Sinner's made $45 million on tour. So this is really your true David versus Goliath matchup, and they're only a year apart in terms of date of birth. So it's kind of crazy how this game of tennis can take you. I'm really intrigued though by the Zverev Shelton match tonight. You and I talked about Ben Shelton last week. really, depending on his draw, could make a big push in Queens over the next couple of weeks. I think Zverev needs this match more than Shelton does, because we've seen Alexander Zverev kind of not play well in the big matches. Of course, we all remember when he got hurt against Nadal on clay, when he was about to pull off maybe the biggest win of his life. This is a player who needs, I think, the Cincinnati title to kind of boost him into a big run in New York. So I think usually the American have the pressure. I think Zverev's got the most pressure against Shelton tonight. As we wait to get Josh back here real quick.
Did you?
There we go. We got him. Okay. While we wait on that, we have Josh talked about the men, so I'll talk about the women for a little bit. Iga Swiatek, 6-3, 6-4 win over Kalinskaya of Russia. Strong win for Iga.
Can you hear me? Are we live?
Yep. Now we got you. Yep.
Technical difficulties.
I think
are we back live?
We should be, yes.
All right. Well, I'll go to the women. Hopefully you all can hear me. For the women, Elena Rybakina and Iga Swiatek have advanced to the semis, and the other two matches are ongoing. I don't have an update right now because apparently I'm having technical difficulties getting onto the website. So if you can hear me, those are the two matches that are coming up tonight. So we'll have more updates on those coming over the weekend. But Swiatek, I would imagine, is probably poised to be the favorite going into the weekend.
So I do have an update for you on that other match. Kudermetova beat Gracheva 6-1, 6-2. She will play.
That's what I was trying to pull up, but apparently that
she will play the winner of the mega match tonight, which I think is going to be so much fun at Cincy. Jasmine Paolini and Coco Gauff. Coco needs, I think, a big title here. She lost to the Boko from Canada last week. But this, I think, has got it. Yeah, you talk about firepower in terms of ground strokes in this match. This is going to be a lot of fun between these two. Hopefully, Coco can pull it off, because the winner of this one's, I think, getting to the final in Cincinnati and really could boost their case for a U.S. Open mega run next week, which we'll have the draw, I think, Josh, by Friday. Maybe we'll do a U.S. Open draw preview next week. That should be fun.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So, yeah, should be fun.
So, again, your final is on Monday. I think one final is Sunday. Women's final Monday. I think the men's final is Monday also. Yep, both finals are Monday.
Yep.
So, Adam will have you covered for what happened on Monday. Real quick before we wrap up here, NASCAR out in Richmond this weekend. There's only 2 events left before the playoffs. William Byron, of course, has the lead in the standings. Chase Elliott second, Denny Hamlin third. Some big racers, though, that need a run to get into the playoff. Brad Keselowski is that first driver out right now. Kyle Busch is one of the first 4 out, if you're looking at it from an NCAA tournament perspective. A guy like Alex Bowman, I think, needs a big push here to keep going into the FedEx Cup, not FedEx Cup, the NASCAR playoffs race. We'll see what happens there. No IndyCar this weekend. They're in Milwaukee next week. No Formula One this weekend. They are not back until the end of the month. August 31st, I think, is the next Formula One event. But we do have some NHRA Nationals going on this weekend. That's always some fun, checking out some funny car action, a little seeing what's going on over there. And Adam will have more on that on Monday. That match will be not the match. That will take place this weekend. Get you where that is on the docket. And that is going to be in Minnesota at Brainerd International Raceway. Be sure to check out those matchups there. So, Josh, as we wrap it up, I like to give this question. I gave it to Larry a few weeks ago. If I gave you the choice to pick one sport, go watch one sport this weekend. Can't watch anything else. What are you watching?
I'm watching golf, honestly. The playoffs are on. I am so fascinated by Robert McIntyre and can he hold on against Scottie Scheffler. The golf last weekend, if any of you watched the first playoff event that went to, I think, 4 playoff holes in the end, it was super dramatic and it was great. And golf can really give you that when the stakes are high. And, everything else is either in preseason or getting towards the playoffs, but not quite in the playoffs. Golf is in their playoffs. So while I will actually be going to the Rays versus the Giants tomorrow night with my family, I would, if I could pick a sport, I'd pick golf.
So funny thing also about last week, Justin Rose was the winner last week in that playoff against Jay. I would feel really bad for JJ Spawn if he didn't have a U.S. Open title this year. This guy lost in the playoffs to Rose, 4 playoff holes, and then earlier this year lost that Monday playoff at the Players to McIlroy. So glad that JJ Spawn's got something on his resume this year, because that's some real heartbreaking.
He's living his best life.
Yeah, he'll be fine. I think he'll roll from there. If I had to pick one, I'm gonna go. Wow, it's gonna be tough. I'm gonna go Little League World Series actually, because I'm gonna put the caveat on it that I get the Little League Classic because it's in Williamsport. So I think that's a cop out where I get Mariners Mets, and I think it's just fun to see like the players in the stands with the kids. The players show up the Sunday morning to the Little League World Series. They sign autographs. They hang out in the field. They take them to the Grove, and it feels like those players get to be kids again. It's so much fun, and I love that baseball puts on this kind of event. And it's actually 2 pretty good teams. Usually it's one good, one bad team. Well, not.
You want to make baseball fun? Have them play a regular season baseball game on the Little League World Series diamond with the Little League World Series dimensions. It'd be such an interesting thing to see this 45-42 game, because guys are hitting home runs left and right. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, I don't think you can have kids slide down the hill with that, because those players would hit the ball like I can imagine like Stanton hitting the ball like 120 miles an hour to dead center field in that dimension. But it's a lot of fun. Like we said last week, if you haven't been once in your life, go to this. My town went to it a couple times. Actually, the town I went when I went that year, Arizona had 2 major leaguers eventually on that team.
Wow.
Cody Bellinger and Scott Kingery.
All right.
So you will never know if you will see a potential major leaguer play in the Little League World Series. And there have been a few. And one remembers Todd Frazier, the pride of Toms River, New Jersey, has one. But there's a lot of there's a lot of the talent when you watch is like a kid who throws 78 miles an hour at 12 is incredible. But you hope they don't have injuries when they get to high school.
I know. Tommy John's coming for them, so hopefully they stay limber.
So that is our show for this week. Again, thanks to all police for hopping on, being very entertaining as it usually is. Got a fun slate. Of course, NFL preseason. We're going to wrap it up next week. I'm going to be at Patriots-Giants on Thursday. Hopefully some starters actually play. That would be great, but you never know. But preseason football, you get what you get with it. But we're only a few weeks away from the start of the regular season. People's fantasy drafts are starting up. So that's always fun. As he said, next week, college football. We're previewing week 0. Iowa State, Kansas State, a top 25 matchup in Ireland. So that should be a lot of fun. And we'll maybe make some college football playoff predictions. We'll have some fun along the way with that. Baseball, of course, will be reeling into that September call-up pretty soon. We're only a couple weeks away from that. Again, tune to the Bullpen Bulletin this week, 9 p.m. Eastern. We get you covered with all the latest in Major League Baseball. As Josh said, the golf's going to be fun. Can Bob McIntyre hold off Scotty Scheffler and win an event? Bob McIntyre's had a couple top 10s this year, hasn't won, going for his 3rd PGA Tour win. Jay Scheffler for 36 holes. That's going to be a lot of fun. We'll, of course, next week preview the U.S. Open. Of course, we have, I think, me and Josh, I would say, are 2 of the biggest tennis minds on the network. So we're going to have a lot of fun breaking down the U.S. Open. I've been there once before. Absolutely incredible. We'll look ahead to that. We had the basketball schedule come out the other day. I've got to find out what's on Peacock, what's on NBC, what's on ESPN, what's on Prime. Craziness, but the basketball schedule's out. That's going to be fun to break down. We got NASCAR wrapping up the playoffs, MLS, NWSL, Premier League, A lot of the foreign league is getting underway. So we'll have all that covered for you. We'll get some insiders on as well. And again, I want to remind you, follow our sponsor, Planet Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, Vital Apparel as well. You get 50% off footwear to support mental health awareness. From all of us at IE Sports Radio, for Larry B, for Josh, and our entire team, I'm Ricky K, saying have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy the sports. See you back here next week.